Hey everybody, my name is Nate Dillmore. You probably know me from Nate and Friends and several of my other shows that I have on my YouTube channel. I want to deliver a special message to everybody and a story that everybody needs to hear. It happened on Christmas Eve on that Thursday. I started getting sick a pretty good bit. I thought it was just a plain throat or sinus infection. Well, I started getting feverish and chills, and my chest started to get a bit tight, and I was starting to get a bit of aches and pains. But it just started to progress a little bit worse on into that Sunday, even after Christmas Day, and it didn't start getting worse until that day I got taken in to urgent care over in Bruton. I had a, I had no idea that it was going to happen. Nobody in my family had any idea this was going to happen. I was tested for the word that I hate to say, and a lot of other people say. I was tested for Covid-19, and then I came out positive. Even after that Thursday. But I started quarantine. It was the first several days that when I came down with the virus, even when my quarantine started, were the most painful moments of my life. Now, most people that have already gone through the virus consider it private, and they don't want to say anything about their experiences, and the doctors, and nobody has released any information about what the virus actually is. Well, this video is going to explain my experiences and what the doctors told me and the prescriptions I was given to help fight off the virus, to help fight it off, and for me to during my recuperation of my 14 days of quarantine. Yes, it was a little over 2 weeks, but that's what the doctor recommended for me, that I needed plenty of time. Excuse me. Now, I know people don't like talking about it. Well, I am not uncomfortable talking about it. I will tell you what you need to know and what kind of treatments you can do to help get it out of your system. But just realize, even after you get over it, it will your lungs will be clean to a point, but even after you get over it, sometimes the virus will leave something behind. It's different for each person, is what you need to know. But I'll get into that later. Okay? Towards the end of the video. Alright. It started on Christmas Eve on the 24th is when it happened. Wednesday on the 23rd, I was feeling it right as rain, but then it hit me on the 24th on Christmas Eve. I thought it was just a fever. Yeah, I started getting feverish. I got a bit of chills on end, but then I started warming up a little bit. And then on into the 25th, for those past few days, I was getting sleepless and I could not sleep. whatsoever. I had lost several couple of days of sleep, and I couldn't barely sleep because mainly it was my bed. On the other hand, I was sleeping on a memory foam mattress that was literally making my entire chest, everything completely sore, and I just hadn't slept for those several days, and I thought it was just because my bed was very uncomfortable. Well, then on into Christmas Day, and then the next day on, I was still getting really tired, but I couldn't sleep. But even though my head and everything was all stopped up all up here, I thought I just had a migraine. I even took some sinus medication, but it had caffeine in it, and I couldn't sleep for those few days. And then on through the week, I got started back at work on that Monday. I did have a bit of a breathing problem because my chest and everything was getting tight. And then on into the day, it felt like my stomach was starting to inflate. But it wasn't, because most of all the coughing I've been doing made my entire chest and muscles completely sore that I could barely breathe for a time, mainly just because I have asthma. Now, what helped me sleep a good bit of the time during this, I had an air mattress that I had gotten, and I deflated it enough where I was able to move up and down in the chest area, and I was able to get some sleep and be able to breathe on that. But then on the 30th, when I was brought in on the Thursday before my quarantine started and all that, I was tested up there in Bruton, and they did the rapid test, but my sinuses were completely raw up in here, and whenever they just stuck the swab just up my nose, just a little bit, it stung because my sinuses were raw, but they didn't stick it up all the way up in my nose like most people would think for the rapid test. But all they did was take one swab, and I'd been sitting there for Lord knows how long up there after we registered online for it so we could get tested. We had been up there for 7 hours just waiting to get tested. Was it boring? And yeah, we had to wear masks inside, and they had told us exactly what was going on too, with that some people were coming out negative, some people were coming out positive, but that's just how it is at most of all the other places that were testing people. Now, after I had been tested and I came out positive, the doctor told me exactly what the virus is. The COVID-19 virus itself is an infection that gets in the lungs, and the symptoms are different for each person. For me, it had a cough. I did have some chills a bit here and there, but that was like a week or so before, during Christmas Eve and such, when I started getting the chills and the sleepless nights that only lasted for a few days until after that Monday. And then before my quarantine started, I'd gotten a brand new bed, a brand new mattress and box spring, which helped me during my quarantine, so I could actually sleep. Now, after the doctor had already told us what the virus was, it being an infection that gets in the lungs, he also told us that that there were a couple of types of steroids that I was prescribed. Two types that I was prescribed that would help fight off the virus, but there were side effects with the now with the vi- with the steroids. Now some of the steroids would like make you lucid, kind of make you stay awake and such. But that was doable, and the second steroid kind of had a nasty taste to it, depending on your taste buds. Now, most people had told me during their experiences that some of them lost taste and smell. My case was different because I didn't lose my taste or smell, but I was very, very tired. Hey, even reading a book made me tired. Even though I like to read manga and such, it made me. I was still even tired. I was still even tired, and I even slept for long periods of time. Yeah, I know. It was during that time though, but now my experiences, other than just the steroids I was prescribed, I also got re-prescribed my inhaler, which I was able to take after 2 puffs and it was able to loosen up my chest enough where I could actually be able to breathe enough because of my asthma. Well, I hadn't taken my inhaler for a good for a good few years because I hadn't needed it. Well, then when the virus hit, it affected my asthma enough that I needed my inhaler again, and I got pre-prescribed my inhaler. Uh, and then I was able to breathe, and it made it a little bit easier to breathe. Now, during my quarantine for the first few days, it was boring, even though I had aches and pains. My legs were sore. My, but the main few areas that were sore were mainly affected due because of that memory foam mattress beforehand. The With the virus and the memory foam mattress, it made the pains a little bit worse, just because of how hard it felt like I was sleeping on a piece of plywood, basically. That's what sums it up. Okay, but enough about the bed. Now, while I was coughing, my chest muscles were completely sore. I even started to lose a little bit of my appetite because I couldn't eat very much. Yeah, I was getting hungry though, but even just eating a few grapes and maybe one or two strawberries was enough to fill me up. But I couldn't eat anymore, or it would have been hard for me to breathe. Now, during it, the top even after it was over, with the aches and pains that I was left with, I had pain on my right side. I had pain on my right side. My chest muscles up in here, just right below the rib cage, were sore, and my back along the spinal column, right up, right where it meets the skull, uh, and right along the tip of the skull, on down past the shoulder blades, towards the lower part of my back, but nowhere near the kidneys. My spinal cord was sore, just mainly because of all the coughing I had done, and even through the sleepless nights. Now, the sleepless nights for me only lasted a few days, only just because I couldn't get to sleep on my bed mostly, but then I was able to get to sleep on an air mattress, and I'll definitely say the air mattress definitely helped, especially as it started to break up what was already in here, what was in here. Now, after during my quarantine, after the doctor's visit, I had to get online with a company called Sedgwick. That is the company that work. That is a company uh, that goes through. That's with Walmart. That they have to that you get online on the website, fill out everything that you're required to fill out